Welcome back. All right. The family of late Amaka Okoro, who was allegedly murdered by her husband, Henry Okoro, over her childlessness, has cried out to the Lagos State government to prevent a cover-up of the case by the family of the accused. The deceased was said to have died after a fight with her husband at her Gbagada home in Lagos State. The late Amaka's family, in a petition to the Lagos State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Ade Ikpayi, allegedly claimed that the suspect's family was in talks with the police to duplicate the case file, so that the matter will be discontinued. Now, I'd like to take an excerpt from the petition, which reads, surprisingly, the defendant's family members, particularly his uncle and father, who came to the Ebutimeta Magistrate Court when the defendant was charged to court, was seen by our client discussing with the prosecutor to immediately duplicate the case file to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, to enable him kill the case through his contacts. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Now, these are still hearsay. That they're speculating based on what they observed. But let's just discuss if that's a real possibility. You can call us on 070-8066-8014, or you can tweet at us at YourViewTVC. We're looking at two issues. First of all, the fact that this man allegedly killed his wife because she was childless, one. Two, this allegation by the deceased, late Amaka's family, saying that because the husband, the accused, has influential uncle and father, they are trying to find a way to throw the case out.
So he's not indicted for murder?
Exactly. So they're trying to get the Lagos State government to help to interfere in this case. And let us see how those two angles. But what are your thoughts on this entire case? Let me start with...
Well, you know, before I'm strongly against domestic violence.
We all are.
I'm looking at it from the angle of, you know, the first line says the wife, Amaka Okoro, was allegedly murdered by her husband over her childlessness. And then we also hear that the deceased was said to have died after a fight with her husband at their Gbagada home. How do you know she was killed for childlessness? That's just the thing I'm thinking. But then, it is so wrong.
But the article I read was saying that the guy had constantly beaten her, I believe, in the past. I mean, I'm not sure if I got that report right, but I think...
Like you said, it being hearsay about the fact that it was probably childlessness, the point still remains that she suffered domestic violence, which eventually led to her death, allegedly, because they haven't said whether or not her husband killed her, or she just happened to die while he was in the house. So I'll still use the word allegedly. But the main issue is the domestic violence. What causes it is by the wayside. She was suffering an abuse, and this is the same kind of abuse or something similar that we said Governor Chime's wife has said they should rescue her from. Because when you start being held against your own will, you start being emotionally...
Before we delve too hard into domestic, which you're going to deal with, and let's talk, the issue of the fact that our culture puts so much weight on the woman being able to have children. I mean, you know how... Well, it's important for you to get married and have kids. That's important, obviously. But when your wife is unable to have children, isn't there something where two adults, okay, for some reason I can't have children, both of you now agree and discuss, okay, should we adopt? Or me as a wife, okay, let me be like Hannah in the Bible, Sarah, that says that, you know what, take on a second wife. You know, if you as a wife feel that you're comfortable with your husband, you know, it's that you're too mature adults. Exactly. You know, why can't we take that option instead of beating up somebody because she cannot have a child?
41-year-old woman who says her husband is 52 and she waited 10 years before she had a child. And she just came up with the story because she was talking about, oh, I'm going to get my son. His birthday is coming up soon. He happens to be my birthday mate. And she was like, oh, I waited for this boy for so long. I said, what do you mean? She said, it took me well over 10 years to have this child. And that I had done IVF many times. But the main thing that she was stressing on was my husband stood by me. He stood by me. He comforted me. He told me what's going to happen. We tried as much as possible to do it ourselves. And when we left ourselves and just decided to rest and not try any scientific interventions, that was when we conceived. So it depends on the couple.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, that matures, because a lot of men find it hard to get to that point where either you can stay with her or both of you can make a decision. But let me take Peter's call very quickly. Good morning, Peter. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
First of all,
I can hardly hear you.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, I want to make it clear that Mr. Sanusi is running for governorship from his state.
He's running for his state.
Yes, forget about what he's saying in the papers. We know these people. Believe me, he'll be speaking from two sides of his mouth very soon. Just watch out. And coming to Chime's wife issue, I read it on Sahara Reporters.
Yes.
Really, that woman is really going through her, to be honest with you. I want you ladies to really dig in deep on this issue. You shouldn't just let this die, because somebody else will suffer the same thing. Because this woman has been going through this trauma for the past 5 years. I have to tell you the truth. You and I know the issue before the husband was killed, flown out of the country. This problem has started earlier before now. So you guys are ladies. You guys should just deal with it and let us understand that it can't just go under the carpet like the usual one. Seriously, that woman is going through hell. I have to tell you the truth. Thank you
so much, Mr. Peter.
Well, I find it so amazing that in this day and age, with all the civilization and the fact that she was able to even contact a lawyer and make that statement, that she still hasn't been rescued.
You see, this is because the lawyers are going to court. It's a long process. I think that if someone is being imprisoned against their will, governor or no governor, they should go in and...
She's an adult. They should even first of all bring her out.
Are we talking about Chime now? As I said,
yes, we're talking based on the phone call.
Based on
the phone call.
Yes.
I have to talk because for me,
if we're going to talk about Chime, let me just establish the facts properly so that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
So people understand. Governor Chime's wife she's allegedly saying that her husband has caged her in her bedroom right now. Her lawyer is Mr. Falano, who has written and insisted that the husband let her go. But these are her allegations. Number one, she accuses her husband of incarceration, abuses, denial of sex for 4 years, deprived her of all responsibilities as a wife, barred her from bonding with her 4-year-old son, locked her up in the bedroom without access to anybody, was lastly injected with some sort of drug that her doctor, that doctor paid by her husband injected her. So those are her allegations. Now, we heard that from different sources. The issue is that, number one, are they true? Number two, if they are true, what can we do to help, or what can we suggest to help her get out of the situation? So
women rights bodies should get in on the matter and get her first of all released. Because if the governor should be able to, this is just my opinion.
African culture will say, "It's my house, it's my wife, it's my property."
House, but my wife is saying she's a human being as well, and she has the right to her freedom. If my wife is saying that they're holding me against my will, first of all, present us the wife. Let us be able to see her, talk to her, and establish her state of mind.
Yes, very good.
I disagree with you, Murayo.
Let me take Victor's call. Good morning, Victor. Are you there? I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead, YK.
I disagree with you because there is no African culture saying she's my wife. She's my. A wife is not a chattel, whatever. It's,
yes.
A wife is a human being, and I don't think it is true that African culture will say another human being should be.
I think what she means is it's a domestic issue, so you people...
Exactly.
No.
Customary court to tell you that it is your husband.
I disagree. When you are being held against your will, it is no more a domestic issue. You are being imprisoned against your will. Yes. If it is true, if she is making these allegations and they're true, because the governor's people have refused to comment on the issue. But if it is true,
but if
they're not true, let them even present the first lady. She must have had official duties that she was supposed to attend as a first lady. She must have had meetings and states duties to see to. So please present her and let her come out first of all.
I'll hear from Sanzi's, because I've not heard from Sanzi, but let me talk to Chichi first. Good morning, Chichi. Are you there? What's going on? Okay. Are you there?
Somebody came in.
I think
we lost.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Chichi. I thought I heard her voice. Yes, Sanzi, you have not heard you. What are your position on this matter?
From the side of childlessness, I feel, men should learn to understand that there are some certain, as much as a normal woman is meant to reproduce, but then there are some certain other illnesses you may not even know about. For instance, you have cases of endometriosis. You don't really know what is going on, but it just happens, And then on the side of Enugu State Governor Sullivan Chime, domestic violence, well, this is the wife's side point of view. We haven't really heard from him, but if peradventure this happens to be true, I am so disappointed because I respect Sullivan. I respect him a lot because he's a governor that is working. But then this also shows us another side of things, that it's not just about working, it's about being
HIV is not written on your head.
Exactly.
Domestic violence, the wife beater is not written on your head. You see them looking very, very nice and perfect.
Anything immoral is not written on your head.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, see, now we're relating both issues because one is actually a result of domestic violence, possibly. Because if a woman is childless and you beat her to death, that is domestic violence. And the woman is incarcerated in her own house and she's not having access to what she's been. So it's still some form of abuse. No, it's not physical, but it's abuse.
But in the case of like the lady who was murdered, that kind of situation, I wonder, why did she stay?
If she was being beaten and his wife.
You can't ask why did somebody stay in the case of domestic violence. I think we've treated it more than once that it's a brainwashing kind of system where you lose your confidence to the extent that this is what you're used to. And you probably have to work yourself out of it before you can walk out. A lot of people stay not because they feel that's what they deserve, but they don't have the strength to walk away.
Yeah, let me take Samuel's call from Abule. Good morning, Samuel. Are you there? What is going on?
Let's have...
He's there.
Sweets.
Good morning, Samuel.
I think there are two calls coming in at the same time.
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
All right, so let's have tweets. Mildred Ezike says, this is what happens when you marry a guy that is not understanding. I mean, whatever happened to adoption? So many children need a home. And then Kemi Enahalo says, a responsible man is not supposed to beat her wife. That man should be sentenced to life jail. It is God that gives children. And Joseph says, I want you guys to know that the woman's inability to have a child becomes the background for so many issues, which generates into domestic violence. And Samuel Ademu, talking about the First Lady and the airport, says, locking down an airport because First Lady is moving is bad in this 21st century, my sisters.
Thank you.
Well, the truth, I hear him on that airline airport issue. But on the domestic violence thing, you see, I think people need to understand that, you see, as women and as adults, in a situation whereby you know you cannot have children, or both parties are aware, my own issue is maturity. If you want to walk away, or the husband says, you know what, this marriage, I can't stay in it. You need to be mature enough to open up to your wife. I can't stay in this marriage. I need to have a child. So either we divorce,
or you allow me
find. You know, there has to be that. You don't start beating her up or subjecting her to some kind of abuse simply because she cannot give a child. I mean, that's where I have an issue.
Abuse
but
is not proper in any way whatsoever. We're just talking about the fact that this may have been caused by childlessness. There's so many other reasons why women suffer abuse and has nothing to do with childlessness. It's about the compatibility of the couple. If you marry people that are right for you and they are understanding and you guys are able to forge
there are several situations
union.
where people must have married someone you think, oh, this person is lovely, he understands me or she understands me, and then you still undergo such domestic violence.
Let me take Esther's call very quickly. Good morning, Esther from Maza. I hope I don't lose this call.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to contribute to the discussion today. And concerning that of domestic violence, and if it's a man, when you marry a man, you might think, okay, fine, the man is perfect. Human beings change. You can't predict human beings.
Very true.
The man is the perfect man. Later, you might change, you understand? So that in that case of that woman being beaten by them, or being locked in a house, the price of not so many things, we need to find out if she's really saying the truth or not. And so that was a childlessness. I don't know why in Africa here, we only point out at the women. Sometimes the problem is from the man. And the won't talk about it. The man will just be pointing at the woman and the woman. You understand? So we need to.
But thank you very much. Thank you very much, Esther. Let me ask a question. She made another point. Men change. Do men really change?
They do.
Everybody changes.
They do.
No, because what we are told in marriage counseling,
women change too.
What me I heard in marriage counseling is that, listen, you can't change anybody. They are who they are. So it's either maybe
they become more of themselves.
Sorry?
Excuse me. Can I tell you the only constant thing in life?
Change.
So everybody changes. I am not the same person I was 20 years ago.
Okay.
Right. I'm a more outgoing person now. I'm more confident now. So people change. There is no way that someone that you marry...
That's a scary statement, because now I'm like, God, do I
but people change for the better, some change for the worse. There's change that is constant.
Really?
But the thing about it is that, you know how people say when you're dating people, you get a vibe of a guy, the way he treats you. And then the day you become Mrs.,
It changes.
It changes. There's a mindset switch that makes it seem as if, okay, this guy feels now she's my property, so there are certain things I'm supposed to be. But people change.
Okay, I hear that. Yes. But see, my own submission is that those things and the things you have already seen, don't you see attributes of those kind of behaviors
of somebody
while you are dating?
The same regardless.
Exactly.
The essence of somebody is the same. Who they are, whether they're good or they're bad, whether they're compassionate or they're understanding.
Before I come to you, let me take Victory's call. Good morning, Victory. Are you there?
I'm there. Good morning.
Good morning, Oga.
Happy birthday, Sanzi.
Thank you.
And good morning to you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Actually, the issue is this. When someone has committed a capital offense, in the case of a man that beat the wife to death as a result of childlessness, they need to view it critically. I don't see any reason why this has to go to DPP if police have really done their thorough investigation.
Yes.
And medical has proven that is as a result of assault from the man that led to our death. Then the justice system should take its course. But in Nigeria, people buy over justice, and we have made things very worse.
True.
And that's why you see things happening this way. To come to the case of Chime's wife, she has been attending function for the past 3-4 years. That means now you're hearing that you need to verify that fact, that issue very well. For over 3 years, she has not cried out. Why now, after 4 years, she's crying out? For God's sake, we need to view this thing before we conclude on that.
Thank you very much.
That's why we say that's her side of the story.
Yes.
I agree with him. I agree with him totally about the governor's wife, because why I am a bit confused is this message that she has sent out to the public. How did she get it out if she's in prison?
But she has access to food and drinks now. Maybe when the house girl brings the food, she say, please call Mr. Falana.
That statement was too detailed for it to be that kind of...
She can write it, and Falana will now interpret and now send it out. That's his lawyer. That's her lawyer.
Because if they've incarcerated, that means she doesn't have access to her phones.
No, she doesn't have access to... Well, so we don't know if she has. But
so if she has access to her phones, then maybe that is how she's contacted Falana.
But like our last caller said, how come she hasn't been able to cry? If it were someone like me, do we still have a caller on?
Good morning.
If it was someone like me...
I think that call just came in like that. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. This is James from Ikeja.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine. Talking about the man that beats his wife because of a child. Let's look at it from this perspective. Now, they've been married for a while. They did not have a child for a while. And not when the man noticed she couldn't give birth. That's not when she started beating her. It got to a time where the man started beating her. Now, what happens is when the man has noticed that this woman won't be able to give her a child. So people must have started saying something that must have, make the man to start beating the wife.
Okay.
Now, this is what we should start considering, because something don't happen, and you judge because of what people say outside, because you know that your wife cannot give you a child. So the man shouldn't beat her because of what she started hearing, because the man on the normal day will not beat the wife.
Okay.
Now, talking about the governor that kept the wife inside for a reason that we don't even know. I believe there's something that they are not telling us. There's something they are not telling us, because we don't really know why this governor kept the wife inside.
Okay, all right.
There's something fishy about that.
Thank you very much. You see, one thing that is constant, obviously, is the fact that regardless of the reason of the death, let us even separate it. Murder is murder, regardless of why you killed her.
Whether it's childlessness or
whatever it was. So he should be jailed for that, right? The other one, you've incarcerated somebody, whether we like it or not, we don't see her. She's locked up in a room, regardless of what the reason is.
So to dispel those rumors, first of all, present her.
And let her come and tell us her own. Let us see her.
Okay, let's have tweets. Omole Washegun says, domestic violence occurs when there is no love and trust. If there is love and trust, domestic violence will be eradicated. And Collins Jeff says, children are a gift from God, and it's the desire of both parties to have children. So if it's not forthcoming, The woman should not be blamed. Obi Kingsley says, if the governor's issue is true, I feel it's inhuman. It's really very bad. Happy birthday, Sanzi. Thank you. And Hadron says, Amaka Okoro's case, justice must be served and domestic violence must be stopped no matter what is going on in that marriage.
Let me take Yenny's call. Good morning, Yenny. How are you?
Hey, how are you, ladies? Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy birthday, Sandy.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good.
Fine.
Thank you. Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning. Yeah. You see, in this issue, especially the husband and the wife, no issue. I believe that the issue is from God. And if you're in your husband's house, you couldn't give your husband children or a child. Honestly, best thing for you, you can leave the place. Sometimes if the problems are just too much. And the other hand, sometimes men, they have their own problems that they will never find out. You know, a lot of guys are outside that they have those spam hounds.
True.
But in most cases, it is only women palaver. I mean, very bad.
Yes.
They should please tell our guys, they change. If you are going out with them, you will see very nice behavior. Immediately you get in, they know you are their own. You will see the other side of them, which is very bad. A lot of women are facing problems, even apart from the issue of having children, any other thing. I mean, it's terrible. Please.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I really appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Jenny. You know, one thing that I'm going to take away from this discussion, because honestly, it might sound really funny, but this is the first time I'm actually hearing that men can change. That, you know, I don't know why, because now I need to now change my prayer point. That Father, Lord Almighty, my husband was such a, because I'm saying, I mean, I'm hearing this. Not I'm hearing it for the first, but it's just thinking in that way too. Men actually can change.
So
I
was going to give you an example.
I'm just trying to just say, now I know how to direct my prayer.
When my mother met my father, my father was a womanizer. He liked women. She knew he liked women.
That's public knowledge.
My father was very quiet.
Yes.
He didn't smoke. He didn't drink.
Really?
He didn't do anything. The most that he would drink, it was a soft drink was his favorite drink. A soda was his favorite drink. And if he was even going to drink anything, it would be cider.
Yeah.
Come 10 years later, he had changed.
Chai. Became the fella we knew.
My mother, in fact, my mother was the one that smoked cigarettes in that relationship. Earlier on in the relationship, my father did not touch anything.
Imagine.
Come 10 years later,
he
changed. He went to America, he had come back. He was a Pan-Africanist. He's now, these women, they are coming.
He was smoking that.
Now married 27 wives.
Imagine that. Oh my God. Let me take Peace. Good morning, Peace. Are you there?
He was never a wife beater. Never.
Hello.
Good morning, Peace. Are you there? Yes.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Sunday, good morning. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Are you all right? So, Jane, please, just say thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Peace.
Okay, I want to talk about the lady that was killed.
Yes.
And the question I always ask, when people are courting, what do they discuss? What do they talk about? All the period of their dating and courtship. What do the important things they don't talk about? Because these are the issues I will put in. These are the issues I want to talk about.
Peace, are you married?
I am not married, and it's still it's an issue on the ground. I'm going to ask the guy.
Okay.
Peradventure, it doesn't happen. I'm okay. I'm quite okay. But peradventure, it doesn't happen. What is your state? What are you going to do? So these are the questions. And some other values. Okay. We don't just go out. We're eating. We're having fun. That's not all. Courtship is meant for. It's for a purpose.
Yes. So Peace. Peace.
To understand each other. Hello.
I totally agree with you. You see. That's my own stand. Yeah, when you court, you learn everything you can learn about this spouse. But I'm learning on the table right now that whatever you've learned is possible to actually change.
And you know, most times when we're talking about courting, people...
But it's not just men that change.
Sorry. I just want to make this point. I've observed that most times when we're courting, it's not mostly about observing the next person's character. It's more like sexual compatibility.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, it is.
Say it
I
again.
see what
Say it
you
again. Let me understand. Say it again.
These
That
days,
people don't pay
21st
attention
century.
to the issues that they
Yeah,
really should pay
they
attention
just observe more
The
of
sexual
sexual
compatibility.
compatibility.
Really?
Like Peace was saying, it doesn't seem as if people really pay attention to the fact that these are my issues, these are the things I hold dear, what do you consider, are we compatible with things that we want? They're more concerned about how we look together, having fun. She said, leave the having fun aside. Start planning the future together and seeing if you're on the same page. But like YK said,
Yes.
the same way men change, women change.
True.
Yes. The prayer should be that we all change for the better.
True.
Because change is
now
proper.
it's making a bit of sense because I remember that those days I used to date people. When I date a guy, I'll first of all download all my problems in this world, what are issues I have, my family drama, and immediately after like 2 weeks, he won't come again. My mother goes, just stop telling them your problems. No, wait, be friendly. So I think, because me, I just tell him, I come with polygamous family, he runs away. So I've learned to kind of keep my information to myself, but my husband started discovering a lot of things. You're right. So after we got married, I was like, hey, so you these people, really? You know, this is interesting. I think I have a call. Ohis, are you there? Ohis. Good morning, Yoga.
No, he's not Ohis.
Ohis, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Well, good morning. You have a culture of not picking our calls, and you've done that again this morning.
We lost
Sorry about that,
Good
Yoga.
morning, beautiful ladies, and happy birthday to
Sanzi.
Thank you.
So I just want to say something about the man who beat his wife to death because of not being able to have children. But one thing I would say, I don't know much about what really transpired, but as far as I'm concerned, if you beat your wife for any reason, whether not being able to have children for any reason, and that beating later turns to issues of somebody dying, that man should be allowed to face a murder case. He has killed, whether it's the wife does not really matter.
Because it's murder.
What right do you have
to take a life?
Take somebody else's life.
To give you a child.
Exactly.
Is
Fantastic.
the man the one giving babies? Is the man God?
Yes.
So these are the things we should ask. And at the same time, I'll tell you, some time ago, while I was in the States, a friend of mine was telling me something about the wife. They have not been able to have children for more than 8 years now. So after running some tests, they now got to understand that the woman cannot have children as a result of what happened some years ago. You understand? But the question we should ask, because the person is asking a question which I cannot even give answers to. You are asking if you should allow this woman go because they told you it was as a result of an abortion. My answer to him was that you yourself, have you for once, is there any time in your life you got a woman pregnant and you refused to accept that pregnancy while you were cutting as a young man? You must have led to one abortion or the other.
True.
And you are not married to that person today. So these are the things we should all take.
Ohis, you are
An understanding man.
These are the things we should understand.
interesting.
So that is why we should not crucify anyone.
Yes,
That is
and should
not
not
to say
judge.
There are not ladies who misbehave. But we also have men who also
Misbehave, exactly.
find themselves in this position.
Thank you very much, Ohis. It was really refreshing
I
to
think
hear you
sometime
say.
last week we spoke about virgins that weren't able to have children.
Exactly.
So it hasn't. There's nobody that has the authority to say because you are childless that they will pass judgment on you.
Do you have any tweets?
Yeah, we do have a lot
Let's
of
please,
tweets.
let's hurry up. We have about a minute.
Well, Oni Michael says, we often don't see the true self with the spectacles of love, hence love is blind. Domestic violence is immoral. And Faith Man 10 says, these issues keep coming up because capital offenses don't get capital punishment. And Amazing Sam 7 strongly says, I'm strongly against domestic violence. Any guy that hits a woman is nothing, is weak. I just edited that. Okay.
That's it?
Well,
okay. All right.
Trying to edit
I am
another
totally
one.
against domestic violence. I am totally against it. And this guy, I believe, should be held for murder.
But you know,
he's murdered his wife.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, you can't even say it's manslaughter because he's beating her to the point of death.
One point that
The only thing I want to say is
he
to
said.
women, if your husband is beating you,
walk out.
find your way.
Tell
Go.
somebody,
Don't wait
find
till
a
you
way
die.
to go.
Your life
Yeah.
is important.
Don't say the man is going to
But
change.
One thing, I know there was a time that Tokwe tried to bring up the issue of Nollywood and we kind of shut her down. We didn't want to bring Nollywood.
On
But
that day.
in this kind of situation, Nollywood reinforces this domestic violence because just see, maybe a wife does something and the man just slaps the face and you know, and everyone's like, kneel down, Tokwe. And he's like, you know that.
But you
it
know,
reinforces
Nollywood
it and makes
it's a case of art imitating life. Stories that they say in things in
And
films
what
and everything
happens here.
are what we go through and what we
But
experience.
can we switch that? Can Nollywood project what society should look like?
No.
Not
So what they should
not to-
do is
not to
after
reflect-
It's
showing-
life stories. That
After
is
showing violence, they
sorry.
should show capital punishment for the
God
offense.
bless you. That's what I'm saying. That you see, if Nollywood, just the same way Hollywood will show all these beautiful things of America, it doesn't. It's when
then
you
they show the
travel
court
there, you
case
realize
that
that
comes
America is
afterwards.
not as beautiful. America is beautiful, yes, but everything's not going perfect. It took them forever to find Osama bin Laden. But if it was a Jack Bauer, in next 2 days, he has found Osama bin Laden.
24
My point is
hours,
that their movies reinforce how good and great they are. If our Nollywood movies reinforce the fact that our men are loyal, that they care for their wives, even these kind of issues they resolve it much maturely, maybe our society will change.
Our
It is
youth
possible.
even
Because
start
you do
knowing
know,
what to
media,
expect.
movies
Exactly.
do have a lot of influence.
Excuse
Yes.
me. I agree that movies have a lot of influence, but let me tell you something about Nollywood. Nollywood is telling you what's your life. That is why you see so many people watching Nollywood, because it is reflecting what is happening in the society.
can connect
So
with
we're
it.
saying that
No,
let us
what you
use
can
it
do,
to
what
do
they
a
can do, what you
paradigm
can say
shift.
Yeah.
Nollywood should do
Yes.
is when they have reflected what has happened in the society, they should now
Show what the consequences could
what
be.
the hell, the
Solution.
consequences, solutions, consequences.
I hear you.
Yes.
I understand that. But I'm suggesting that they should switch it completely. Stop selling that story to us. We've seen it. Is it Juju? We've seen it. Is it beating white? We've seen everything. Show us a family that sticks together even when there are issues. Show us a family, a child that grows up to respect. Show us what the society should look like.
What's
Before
interesting
we
about that
change
story?
Because, you know,
It's interesting.
What is interesting about that story?
Alright,
Because
debate
of the
is
man
not
and
about
what-
Nollywood,
support
though.
We have to go. We have to go.
The debate is not about Nollywood.
Don't forget
So
to
let's
watch a repeat broadcast of our program, of this program at 11 p.m. tonight. And you can also catch previous episodes on YouTube. You can go to Your View Space TVC. And as always, domestic violence is illegal in Lagos State. You can go to the Ministry of Women Affairs at Alausa to report any case of domestic violence. And also in the case of cancer, remember that the WHO says that 30 Nigerians die of cancer every single hour. The best cure for cancer is early detection. So please go for your screening today. Have a blessed morning and see you
Happy
tomorrow.
birthday again,
Happy
Sansi.
birthday again.
Thank you, everyone.
Go Sansi, it's your birthday.
Where's our cake? I be going to
It's coming now.